I mean, I do think there's like a higher level of social connection when you have kids, because you start kind of hanging out with people maybe that you wouldn't hang out before that have kids in the same age. Like I faced that. Anyone in my friend group that had kids like the same age or even had kids at that point.
Yeah.
When I had my son. So like I had to like outreach outside, which is how I joined the mom groups. And I did like all these meet and greets and went to like little classes for kids like Mommy and Me. And I met people who I'm still friends with 6 years later.
But not every mom is so social. There are more moms who, tend to stick to themselves. And they feel, I think that being in the home daily, they feel lonely.
Right.
They feel isolated, especially if they're just in home and doing the routine and doing the day-to-day. I feel like they feel isolated and they feel like they're alone. But they're not alone. There's this podcast.
That's true. And actually, I feel like I went through that when I was staying at home. I was like 3 months in. I couldn't even look at my house anymore. I was like, I need to get out somewhere. Like, I need to go. So luckily, I found a group of friends who actually wanted to brunch with alcohol, of course, and bring the children along. So that's how we all met.
Brunch and children.
Yes. So it became kind of like something that we did it like pretty much every week. We would meet in Sheepshead Bay for lunch. Any places we went to next door. We went to opera. The kids were always with us. They were like 3-4 months at the time because they're pretty much all in the same age group. So we would have brunch. We would drink and talk and socialize. And it was great.
I think that's very important for especially new moms.
Yes.
To socialize and to feel like they are not alone and someone else is going through the same thing.
Exactly.
When you think you're alone, you're like, oh my God, poor me, poor my life.
Right.
And how did this happen? And why am I the only one? Once you get out there, you understand that you're not the only one. And
Right.
you start to feel a little bit less isolated and a little bit more of, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
They're doing it and I can do it and we can all do it together, because sometimes it does take a village.
It does. And I mean, I think, 100% it's very important, especially as a first-time mom. And whether you're on maternity leave or, doing the stay-at-home thing or working from home, you become isolated. Going out, socializing gives you a reason to actually dress up because, like, let's be real. For the first, I would say, like, month, I was literally, like, in my pajamas every day, probably in the same ones with stains all over my shirt. And, like, my hair wasn't done. I forgot what it's like to shower. I have this skid on me all the time. So then when I finally found this, I'm like, okay, good. Like, I could pull out my clothes. I could get out of pajamas. And especially, like, it was nice having a drink outside of the house because it was getting lonely to drink by myself.
Listen, with my son, he didn't sleep. He didn't sleep. He didn't eat. He didn't do anything except yell all day, all night. It was a terrible situation. There was a point in time where I remember all morning he would just yell. He was just crying. He was colicky. He was just doing all these like weird things. It was like, and I was by myself. I was alone by myself in this house. I called my mom and I'm like, you have to come and get him now. Like now. Not in an hour, not tomorrow, now. Because if you don't come and get him now, I will kill him. I will kill him. I will go to jail because I just felt so frustrated and I felt like I was just seeing red. You know, when they say like, you see red, I see red. And at the same time, talk about mom guilt, I was like, he's a baby.
Right.
He doesn't understand. This is not his fault. I'm doing something wrong. I just needed that extra help.
Right.
And I think that's very important when you have that outside, whether it's your family or a social group or work or anything.
Or friends.
That can be like, you're okay. You're doing okay. And sometimes maybe you just need to speak to somebody. I don't want to say like a professional because, some people are not professional, but others are. But sometimes the unprofessional become professional.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we definitely, as we go through motherhood, you learn new things every day. And especially like having a group, even if you're just chatting with people, and like, which is great about these Facebook groups that you don't want to join, but sometimes when it feels like it's isolating, you can kind of like, especially when it comes to development, I think that's a big one. You're in this field, so you know a lot of things, you see a lot of things, and it could be isolating because you're kind of an expert with children. Sometimes you have to tell parents things that they don't want to hear. And so like when you're a parent hearing these things from a professional, you're like, oh my God, am I like, is it just my kid? What's going on with my kid? So then you go for that outside support, even if it's like a parent of yours, and like, oh, don't worry, you did the same thing when you were a kid. But yeah, definitely
But as a professional, you do have to tread very lightly.
Yeah.